Over the last few years, there have been situations and circumstances that I wish I could erase out of my memory. I've had things happen to me that I really wish I could just delete and go back in time and fix. And this is a universal thing. Everyone has experienced this. Everyone wishes they can go back and change something that happened in their life. But there is a line from Tolkien that is kind of making me rethink this. And it's a line that I think is more wise than what I am looking to do, which is go back and erase certain parts of my life or change my memory for certain things. Because terrible things happen to every person. There's annoying people out there, there's frustrating people, there's abusers, there's manipulators, and typically the advice that we give people is to cut those people out of your life. And I think that's actually very true. If you're in a terrible situation with another person, be that abusive or even this person's just annoying and nagging you, sometimes it's really worthwhile to cut that person out of your life. But when we look back on those situations and look back on those circumstances, I think we all have a tendency to want to change those situations. To say, I wish I never met that person, or I wish I never went down that road. But we can't change those situations. I think what we can do is we can change our outlook on life. And I think this line from Tolkien is really, really helping me change my outlook on life for how I look back at situations that have happened to me in my past and how I'm not necessarily ashamed of them anymore, but I don't necessarily wish to cut them out of my life because I think I grew a ton from those situations and they've kind of shaped me into the person that I am today. And this line is Gandalf and Pippin, and they're in Minas Tirith and they're talking about Gollum, and Pippin is lamenting the fact that Gollum is actually with Frodo and he's helping them out in certain ways because they just got news of this. And this is what Pippin says, and then Gandalf's response is just so astute and wise, and I just want to point this out. Gollum, said Pippin, how on earth could they be going about with him, even following him? And I could see that Faramir did not like the place he was taking them any more than you do. What is wrong? I cannot answer that now, said Gandalf. Yet my heart guessed that Frodo and Gollum would meet before the end, for good or for evil. But of Cirith Ungol I will not speak tonight. Treachery, treachery, I fear. Treachery of that miserable creature. And this is so good because they've had opportunity after opportunity to be able to, or not to be able to, but just to kill Gollum. They really could have eliminated him at maybe 5 or 6 parts of this story. And they didn't. And there's a line early on in the story. Sorry, I haven't even gotten to the good line yet. There's a line early on in the story that Gandalf is talking about Gollum. And he says that he still has some part to play in this. And this is the line where Frodo's saying, oh, it's a pity that Bilbo didn't kill him when he had the chance. And Gandalf truly believes that he still has some part to play in this story, whether for good or for evil. And the interesting thing about this line is Gandalf actually changes for his perspective. Well, yes, Gollum can do something for good or something for evil. But no matter what he does, Gandalf believes that Providence will guide Frodo. And that these situations are not necessarily meant to happen to him, but they can help him out. And they can help him destroy the ring, which is the greatest mission of Middle-earth right now. And so he finishes with this. After he says, treachery, treachery, I fear. Treachery of that miserable creature. But so it must be. Let us remember that a traitor may betray himself and do good that he does not intend. It can be so sometime. And I think that line is so wise. And it's JRR Tolkien's wisdom coming out in this book. And it's honestly, I keep saying this, but this is probably the greatest book that I've ever read. Just for how Tolkien knows how to navigate through situations and knows how to just dispel his wisdom to people who are reading. And this one line that comes through Gandalf is one of the most life-changing that I've read in this story so far. That no matter how these bad situations happen in your life, you can look back on those. And to be honest, I think we have a choice in the matter, whether we want to get bitter and just curl up in a ball and not want to do anything with our life after that and get just really angry at whatever happened and that situation happened, or I think we can learn from it and really grow from those situations, because terrible things happen to every single person on this earth. And I think the important thing is how we respond to those situations. And I love this line. Let us remember that a traitor may betray himself and do good that he does not intend. Because these people who are intending to do evil in your life, it might actually end up being used for good. And we don't know the end of the story. We don't know the end of our story. And so I think one thing that we have to do is not to keep getting bitter at those situations that happen and not to want to cut those things out of our life, but to learn from those and to grow from those and to become better because of those and in spite of those especially. And yeah, sometimes we have to cut people out of our life. And sometimes we have to just stop communication with certain people. And sometimes I really wish I could change things about my past. But the fact is, I cannot change those things. What I can do is I can learn from them and keep stepping forward. And I just think this is so good. That Gollum is here saying, or Gandalf is here saying that Gollum may actually betray himself. And he might actually end up doing good. And he doesn't intend to do this good. So sometimes these bad people in our life might actually help us in the future. Not they themselves helping us, but these things might be used to help us. Might get us to a different point where we're a much healthier person because of it. And so I think this line is really changing my perspective because I'm not getting so bitter at these things and wanting to cut those things out of my life that have happened to me previously. I'm hoping to learn from those and grow from those and think that I can actually use those things for good. So that's all I got for this line. I just think it's such a great line, and I hope you would enjoy this. I'll see you in the next one.